Imagine this, a sky filled with smoke, the sounds of war all around, the clash of swords, and amidst that chaos, a woman. With naked swords in both hands, a 5-year-old child tied to her back, a horse's rein in her mouth, and in front of her, the most powerful army of that time, the British Empire. You must have seen movies. You must have heard stories. But what you are about to hear in the next few minutes is not the story of a film. This is the history of India. This was the defining moment in time when history first acknowledged that true bravery and courage know no gender boundaries. So, are you truly ready to hear the incredible story of the woman who dared to challenge the might of an entire empire, whose name the British generals spoke with fear? Welcome to the first chapter of the immortal heroines of history. This is the true story of Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi. And yes, if you like stories that stir your soul, then subscribe now and press the bell icon, because you won't find this journey anywhere else. This story does not begin with the throne. This story begins in the streets of Varanasi in 1828. A girl named Manikarnika is born into an ordinary Brahmin family. People lovingly called her Manu, but fate can be cruel. Manu was only 4 years old when she lost her mother. You must be thinking, here comes another tragic story. No, this was the very moment that would have broken any other girl, but it forged Manikarnika. Her father, Moro Pantambe, worked in the court of Peshwa Bajirao II. And here, something happened to her that never happened to girls in those times. Her father gave his daughter what women were not given in those times: freedom, education, confidence. Manu learns horse riding, practices malakam, wields a sword and wrestles. She doesn't just play with the boys, she outshines them. In the Peshwa court of Pune, people didn't call her a girl, they called her a storm. Future revolutionaries like Nana Sahib and Tatya Tope grew up alongside her. It was here that the belief took root in her that to bow before injustice is a sin, but the first test of fate was still to come. At that very time, in Jhansi, a small but strategic state in India, Maharaja Gangadhar Rao Niwalkar was grappling with deep concern. He was childless and the British policy was clear: any king without an heir, his kingdom would become ours. This was the doctrine of lapse, the policy of annexation. One by one, the states of India were being swallowed up. The Maharaja knew he did not just need a wife. He needed a queen who could hold the kingdom together in times of crisis. It was then that this news arrived from the Peshwa's court. There is a young woman who wields both the sword and sound judgment. In 1842, Manikarnika was summoned to Jhansi. Standing in the royal court, that girl neither feared nor bowed down. There was confidence in her eyes and clarity in her voice. The Maharaja understood that this marriage was not a choice of beauty, but of merit. And thus, Manikarnika became the Queen of Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai. Did you know that even after her marriage, Lakshmibai did not remain behind the veil? She practiced with weapons every day. She oversaw the preparations of the army. She took part in the affairs of the state. Once, the Maharaja said, "There is no longer any need for the sword." Lakshmibai smiled and said, "Raja Sahib, the day Jhansi is safe, I will lay down this sword myself." This was not an ordinary relationship between husband and wife. It was a partnership between two allied rulers. They discussed politics, talked about the schemes of the British, and planned the security of the state. The Maharaja knew that this woman was not just a queen, but the shield of Jhansi. But then came the night that changed everything. In 1849, Lakshmibai became a mother. All of Jhansi was filled with joy. But friends, fate tested her once again. Her child lived for only 4 months. Can you imagine the pain of a mother? The child whom you carried inside you for 9 months, for whom you dreamed, was gone in just 4 months. This kind of grief breaks you from within. But Lakshmibai, she became even stronger on the outside. In 1851, Damodar Rao was adopted, and Lakshmibai did not just adopt him, she shaped him. She herself would seat him on a horse, let him touch a sword, and say, "Before becoming a king, learn to be a good human being." For her, Damodar was not just a son, he was the future of Jhansi. But then, in 1853, Maharaja Gangadhar Rao passed away. Lying on his deathbed, the Maharaja made it clear in front of the British officials, Damodar Rao is the rightful heir to Jhansi. But when did the British ever listen? Just a few days later, a British officer arrives with some papers. In a cold, merciless voice, it is said, the East India Company does not recognize adopted sons. Jhansi is now the property of the British Empire. Friends, try to feel that moment. A queen whose husband has passed away, whose son is adopted, and now her kingdom, her home, is being taken away from her. In that moment, Lakshmibai neither cries nor screams. She stands up, looks straight into the eyes of the British officer and says, I will not give up my Jhansi. These words were not just an act of defiance. This was a declaration of war. If you haven't gotten goosebumps yet, then maybe you're asleep. Like this video and write in the comments, I will not give up my Jhansi. The British thought, what could a widowed queen possibly do? But they didn't know that they were facing a wounded lioness. Lakshmibai organized an army, formed a women's battalion, taught them the art of war, repaired the fort, gathered weapons and friends. Here's another story that will astonish you. Jhalkaribai was an ordinary woman who looked exactly like Rani Lakshmibai. The queen gave her special training because she knew that this resemblance would be useful in battle. This plan would later save Jhansi. Then came the year 1857, when the flames of rebellion spread across all of India. In Meerut, Delhi, Lucknow, Kanpur, everywhere there was rebellion against the British. And in Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai had transformed from a queen into a commander. In March 1858, British General Hugh Rose advanced towards Jhansi with a massive army. 12,000 soldiers, modern weapons, artillery, and in Jhansi, only 1,500 soldiers. 12,000 versus 1,500, an impossible battle, right? But in Rani Lakshmibai's dictionary, the word impossible simply did not exist. General Rose sent a message, surrender or face total destruction. And Rani Lakshmibai replied by declaring, if we win in battle, it is virtuous. If we die, we attain heaven. She fought valiantly like a man. She was the Queen of Jhansi. Are you still getting goosebumps? Write it in the comments. Hail the Queen of Jhansi. In March 1858, the siege of Jhansi began. Day and night, there was relentless shelling. The walls break, then are rebuilt, then break again, then are rebuilt again. And the queen herself stands on the walls with a sword in hand. She boosts the morale of the soldiers. She tends to the wounded. For 14 days, a 29-year-old widowed queen held her ground against the world's most powerful army. Those 14 days are recorded in world history. But then the British dug a tunnel through the wall and the fort of Jhansi was breached. Enemies everywhere, chaos all around. It is from here that the most iconic story in history begins. Night falls, the palace is surrounded, and at that moment, Jhalkaribai, the woman who resembled the queen, steps forward. She puts on the queen's clothes to mislead the enemies. And at the same time, Rani Lakshmibai ties her 5-year-old son Damodar to her back with a cloth. With a sword in each hand, the reins of the horse in her mouth, she rides through the dark night, cutting through the enemies. Swords clash, blood flows. A mother, with her child tied to her back, cut through hundreds of enemies with 2 swords and made her way out. She was not running away. She was heading towards the next battle. Like, share, and send this to everyone who should know about the real heroes of India. After leaving Jhansi, the queen reaches Kalpi. There she meets Tatya Tope and Rao Sahib. A final plan is made to capture the fort of Gwalior, and they succeed. But the British were not going to back down either. 17th to 18th June 1858, Kotaki Sarai near Gwalior. Scorching sun, the fierce afternoon heat, and the final battle. Rani Lakshmibai enters the battlefield for the last time, sword in hand. Swords clash, bullets are fired. The queen is wounded, but she keeps fighting. And then, a bullet strikes and the queen falls from her horse. She knew this was the end. She told her companions, do not let the British get my body. A sadhu performed her last rites in a nearby hut. She was only 29 years old. Her reign lasted only 5 years. The war, just a few months. but her inspiration has lasted 166 years and the count continues. The story does not end here. British General Hugh Rose himself had to write about his enemy. If the revolt of 1857 produced any true warrior, it was this woman. Even her enemy saluted her. In 1930, Subhadra Kumari Chauhan wrote the poem, "She fought valiantly. She was the Queen of Jhansi." Even today, every Indian child remembers this poem. In the 1940s, Subhas Chandra Bose formed a women's army. He named it the Rani Jhansi Regiment. Even 90 years later, women warriors fought in her name. Even today, streets are named after her, schools and colleges bear her name, awards and honors are given in her name. Because Lakshmibai was not just a queen, she became an idea. She became a symbol for every woman who never gave up. She became an inspiration for everyone who raised their voice against injustice. She became the strength of every mother who can do anything to protect her child. Today, in 2026, we live in a world where injustice still exists. The powerful still oppress the weak. The system still seems invincible. But Rani Lakshmibai teaches us that courage has no gender. Sacrifice never goes in vain. Even one person can shake an empire. Defeat only happens when we stop fighting. So whenever you face difficulties in life, whenever you feel defeated, whenever injustice stands before you, remember, I will not give up my Jhansi. This was the true story of Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a like. Share it with everyone who wants to know about the real heroes of history. Subscribe, because we will keep bringing you such heart-touching stories. And let us know in the comments if you already knew all this about Rani Lakshmibai. Which part of this story touched you the most? Write, "Hail the Queen of Jhansi." In the next video, we will bring you another story that will shake you to the core. A warrior who single-handedly stopped an army of 40,000. Guess in the comments who that is. Remember, history is made by those who never give up. So, see you in the next video with another amazing story. Until then, be brave, be fearless, because you too are a story. Jai Hind.